Hey guys, I thought I'd make a video responding to the objection to the criterion of embarrassment put out by a very famous apologist who I will remark is a very good apologist as well. His name is J. Warren Wallace. Effectively, he states that the criterion of embarrassment doesn't hold as much weight as we think it does because of the way that criminals embarrass themselves in order to get away with crimes. So for those who don't know what the criterion of embarrassment is, basically it goes, the Gospels have embarrassing details about the disciples and about the stories of the disciples. And these things wouldn't have been made up because they are embarrassing. As the argument goes, you don't lie about yourself to make yourself look bad, you lie about yourself to make yourself look good. Basically what J. Warren Wallace is stating here is he's not speaking out against the criterion of embarrassment. He's simply saying that it doesn't hold much weight as an argument because he's been in certain circumstances where, because he's a detective and his work surrounds around cases and murders, etc., that a criminal will lie specifically in their testimony if it helps them get away with the crime. So I just want to point out the differences between the disciples and the criminal. Let's look at the criminal first. The criminal has a motive. The criminal wants to get away with this crime, so he's willing to embarrass himself in order to do so. The disciples, on the other hand, they are hypothetically in this situation. They're hypothetically making up the resurrection and making up a whole religion. So if you're making up a religion, why in that circumstance would you embarrass yourself and put embarrassing details within your story that actually break your testimony? See, a criminal can make up an embarrassing detail in order to make his testimony and to get him to get away with his crime. But the details the disciples encounter in their gospels and they write down, they break their testimony. For example, I've said in a video that women were the first witnesses to the resurrection, and you wouldn't put this or lie about this as women being the first witnesses because the testimony of a woman in Jewish society wasn't on par with a man, and the blatant sexism within Jewish society at the time. You have other details, like for example, Peter was called Satan by Jesus when he tried to tell Jesus that, no, Lord, don't go to the cross, I won't let this happen. You have the disciples running away when Jesus Christ is put on trial. The disciples don't understand parables that Jesus is saying. They cast off people who are looking for help from Jesus. Even little children they cast off. They have the balls enough to ask Jesus if they can sit at his left and right hand when he reaches his kingdom. See, to a first century mind, all these details aren't going to make their case. They're going to actually make them look bad, because these details make the disciples look foolish and clumsy and cowardly. And who's going to want to get into a religion who the founders of that religion are cowardly followers who couldn't even stand with their own leader at his death? But we now know in modern eras, due to textual reliability, that embarrassing details actually somewhat, in some circumstances, can confirm the reliability of a text. See, a criminal can make any detail to create a more reliable case for themselves that is embarrassing, but will eventually get them out of the punishment for that crime. But on the disciples' hand, their testimony is just too embarrassing to the point where it doesn't even make their case, it just diminishes it. Also, there's a huge difference with trying to get away with a crime and making a new religion and changing people's worldviews. A criminal getting away with a crime isn't trying to make himself look out to be a saint. But someone who's trying to create a new religion, on the other hand, generally aren't going to make themselves look out to be cowards or foolish. But that is unless they are actually telling the truth. So we can see in the disciples' case that their testimony is so embarrassing that it, to a layman, actually might break their testimony, that we can actually tell that they're telling the truth. But going back to the subject at hand, there's a big difference between two different motives and also two different time periods and different situations as well between a criminal and a disciple. So to conclude, on the basis of the fact alone that a criminal can make up a detail that might embarrass him but might help him get away with a crime, disciples have done the complete opposite, and they've rendered details to their testimony that to a layman would actually break their testimony rather than make it, because who's going to want to follow a coward? But yeah guys, that's my video. I hope you guys liked it. I just thought I'd keep it as a video on the bank, something to refer to. I do go very deep into theological concepts, so if you don't understand what I'm talking about, I completely understand. This is more me venting and getting my opinion out so that I can understand fully myself, so I can hear my thoughts hear my thoughts audibly rather than just in my head. So if this helps you, then great, but it's also helping me. And just to reiterate, this is nothing against J. Warner Wallace. I just don't think that his view on the fact that the criterion holds more weight than it actually does is correct. That's all I'm saying. He is a great apologist. But yeah guys, if you guys want to hear more, listen to more, then please like, share, subscribe. I will be getting more of my mates on here, hopefully. A lot of them have a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge to share. A lot of them are experts in areas that I'm not very good at. So stay tuned for more to come. Thanks, you guys.